check out the Flow plugin for After Effects. Now, this plugin is amazing. I'm first going to show you all the cool features, what it does, and then if you're stoked, I'll show you how to like download it and then set it up, because I'm cool like that. I got your back, my friend. So let me just show you what it does. It's freaking amazing. I'll just kind of go through the features really quick, and then I'll show you how to, the link to where to go, and then how to get the trial. And again, I don't get paid anything. I'm not endorsed. This is just like the industry standard plugin. I wish After Effects did all this and I didn't have to teach you a plugin. It bothers my soul, but this is the solution in case you want to know how to do it. All of your easing and velocity curve problems are solved here. Okay, so say I have this project here and I just blocked out linear keyframes, all right? Actually, that totally doesn't look linear. Let's say I blocked out linear keyframes here, and basically what this is just a project from one of my like other courses. So I'm just going to show this as a sample. So this is with linear keyframes, right? There's a lot of stuff happening here, and you can see that if I go through the timeline, I'm like, oh man, that's a lot of keyframes. And there's also like if we just looked at the properties here also. There's position, there's opacity, there's blurriness, there's scale. So in After Effects, there's no way to like grab all these and just change them all at once. You can grab all the position properties and change those from the from the command for the incoming, outgoing velocity command, but there's no way to grab all your keyframes and change them all at once. So what we can do though is if we grab all of our keyframes, we have this Flow plugin here, and what this does is this gives you a couple different things. One is it gives you a cubic Bezier interface to draw custom curves. So typically when you're designing motion for UI animation projects, you're dealing with one of four kinds of easing. So there's what are called the standard easing functions, which are these guys here, which were invented in the 90s. Well, they're pieces of code that are written as parametric easing, essentially little scripts by this guy Robert Penner for Flash, but they've become industry standard. But check with your engineering team first and make sure you let them know that if you want to be using these, that they can work with that. And there's tons of conversion kits for whatever, whatever platform your product's being written in. But this is one. There's also easing for Google Material Motion. They have their own. iOS has their own, and then you just may want to design your own custom curves. So if like you were to place like cubicbezier.com, you can just drag out handles and you'll get these CSS values, which then plug into this Flow plugin. If you go over here, you just click here, and these values, you can just type it in and it will change the shape of the curve. It's freaking amazing. So all of this translates now, and you're creating what I call like engineering-friendly velocity curves, which are great. Now, why is it called cubic Bezier? It's called cubic because there's four values here. So there's two anchor points with two handles to define the shape of this curve. Each point here has an XY value, and this one has an XY value as well. So there's cubic, so there's four values, and it's Bezier because it's a Bezier-shaped curve. Hope that explains that in case you were wondering. So in Flow, you'll notice that it comes preloaded with these velocity curves, and these just correspond exactly to the ones at easing.net. You can just click and apply them. Now, what I love about this is, so say I have like linear motion here, like I'll just literally make these keyframe interpolation. Let's just go linear. So these are just linear keyframes, right? So if I play it back, you'll see that the motion is just like, it's just straight linear. Looks terrible, right? Now I can just double click here. With my keyframe selected, it will automatically apply whatever velocity curve is here. And now if I hit spacebar again, it's just gonna have those. It's all synced up and they're ready to go. It doesn't even matter what property. And I can just bounce around. I'm like, yeah, let's try quad out. So I click that once, click apply here, and it just, like literally while you're previewing it, it just does a different version for you. So what I like to do is I'll just duplicate this a bunch of times. You can hit Command D and then apply like 3 or 4 different kinds of easing if you want to test that out with your team or your stakeholders or your client, whatever. So that's one thing it does really well. Guess what? You can also create custom easing curves. You can just drag something out and you're like, let's just do something crazy. So say you have like branded easing on your project, right? And you're like, I want this. You can hit save and you're like, this is, awesome curve 1, like awesome. And it's like, yes, you've saved that, you rock. I have my own velocity curves here, my custom ones, but now I can just double click this applies it, and now I've applied awesome curve 1, which looks truly awful. Now that I think about it, you probably wouldn't want to do that, but that's how you would do that. You can also export and you can also import, which is great for teams. So if you have a set of curves that you want to use, so like Google Material has like 3 different velocity easings, you can just create those and then share those with your team, and you can just all be perfectly synced up in whatever project you're using. That's freaking cool, so you can import and export. The other thing I'll show you, which I love, is that you can also apply it to an expression. So right now, we've been applying it to the actual shape of the velocity curve. So if I change this, you know, it'll actually update, oops, if I change here, it'll update the shape of the curves here. So the velocity of these layers is being driven by the shape of this curve here. After Effects has another way of working, which is called expressions, which is literally a line of code that goes on the layer property, and then that overwrites whatever your keyframe data says. So you can simply do that with flow right here. Say I want to apply one of my custom curves here. Now After Effects doesn't even care what the graph is doing right here. It's actually applying its own mathematical velocity curve here. The property turns red, which lets you know that there's an expression, a piece of code on it, and then whatever animation you do afterward on this layer in time, it will apply that same easing on every single keyframe, so you never even have to touch easing again once you've applied it on the property. So I think that's an incredible feature as well. So I just want to share with you why I think that's awesome. So if you want to try this out, here's how you would do it. So you'd go over, and I'll include these links for you. First thing you have to do is download the ZXP installer. So you would click that, it comes down, you're like, awesome. So this is just a Mac installation, sorry, it's an Adobe installation thing. And so what you get here, it's not for Mac, take that back, it's for Adobe, for their products. So this is the first thing, is you get this little ZXP installer, you double click it, your icon may look different. I've seen a couple different versions floating around, but I'll include the link. This one, and then you go to the flow page here, and just try it out. Just try it out for 30 days. Just click try, it'll download, you're stoked. You get all the features for like 30 days. They've got some good intro videos here as well you can watch. And again, I don't get paid any money. I just got to show you like how people handle this stuff. So then what you get is this folder with this, guess what, a ZXP file. Then you go back to your installer and you just literally drag and drop it. So you drag it over, it says install, you're like, yes please. Lets you know, hey, guess what, it's installed. Restart After Effects. And then how you load it up, I'll just show you. So I'm just gonna, this is how it'll actually come in for you. So you go to your window, extensions, flow. It'll come in this floating little panel here, and then you just click the name of the thing here. You just click where it says, wow, I'm just gonna dock that. You just click where it says the name, grab that, click and drag, and then you can dock it wherever you want. Now the cool thing about this, they designed it really well. So it's like pretty responsive. You can size it wherever you want. You can put it, you know, big, small. I use this all the time, so it's in a very visible place for me. And that's how you do it. And then it does come preloaded with these easing functions here, which is awesome. So I just wanted to say, you know, I just wanted to basically create this so that you would know how to solve like, you know, 5 or 6 or 7 of these core problems that After Effects just doesn't solve natively. It's crazy. But these guys did a really, really good job. So that's the Flow plugin. And we'll look at the next one next.